But another thing that the Lotus Eaters have recently voiced their opinion on, and there was a combination of factors that contributed to that, is anime. And particularly, there were two events that need to be highlighted. First of all, there is the cringening of 2021 when seemingly all of the gold tier subscribers that can submit video comments have taken it upon themselves to convince Carl to watch anime, and they have done so by bombarding him with suggestions of whatever mainstream slop they happen to like, which in my experience is the best way to dissuade someone from engaging with the hobby and is generally cringe. In a recent episode, they were examining the case of how a young girl has been inculcated in, I believe, I'm not sure if it was American or British, but, a distinction without a difference for this particular case, into an anime circle that turned out to be run by degens and nonces and was generally just a grooming circle with anime themed entertainment in between. And the wrong conclusion that the Lotus Eaters have arrived to is that anime, well, not that they've arrived to, they've just defaulted to that judgment. They've pronounced the anime fandom cringe and stated that, no parent should allow their child to engage in it. Entirely missing the point that, first of all, that is a very broad statement. Saying that anime is bad is pretty much the equivalent of saying that all tabletop games are bad. Anime is less a genre and more a technological approach, because as anyone who's dabbled in the sphere knows, that there is great variance in subgenres of anime, ranging from shonen anime that has pretty based messaging, in my opinion, all the way to the unspoken dark corners of deep degeneracy that should be cast into a fire as soon as possible, along with the people consuming and making that content. But I digress. The primary reason I find that to be very worrisome is because by casting out the entirety of the hobby, and just, saying that it's degen and it is to be disregarded, we are also losing a very significant number of young people who will be left alone with the destructive element, the regressives that have overtaken this space like many other fandoms. And that is true in the sense that is true when said of anime, because the anime fandom in the West specifically, like pretty much every other fandom, or at least its mainstream component, has been overtaken by militant leftists. And the alphabet people, the blue-haired people, whatever strata of the regressive left you detest the most, they are most likely present in your hobby and are very likely significant influences there because, as instructed by Lenin, of all the arts, cinema is of most importance, while they've scaled that particular approach to, of all the spheres, popular media is of most importance. So they have been consistently occupying fandoms ever since. A significant difference in the anime fandom in particular is that, unlike, say, Warhammer, Magic, or D&D, the regressives have yet to occupy the source of the media, as in they have very little sway over the Japanese, because the Japanese could care less about the trivial tripe they typically complain about. Same goes for Japanese developers. That's why, we still have based Harada dabbing on the drawn thicker crowd, as opposed to the soys at NetherRealm Studio, adjusting and quote unquote modernizing the designs, going from Mortal Kombat 9 to Mortal Kombat 10. And if you take a good look at the no tea having motherfucker that's in charge of their character design, you get all of your answers as to why that was the direction that was taken. But I digress. The point here being is that disregarding anime as a wide swath is very much throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So, engaging with the parts of the fandom who are in line with the more constructive messaging, I think, is a better approach than simply disregarding anime altogether. Because if we do that, we will leave the young people in the hobby exposed to the nonsense. And there will be casualties to that. There will be lives ruined if we let them continue to persist in the space unopposed. An example of constructive anime fandoms would be an Instagram page called Barbells and Anime Milkers. While they do dabble in outright 4chan clown shit from time to time, they are still mostly reasonable people who dedicate themselves to masculine pursuits, primarily lifting. That is the core hobby that's discussed there, but lifting in the context of the motivational aspects of anime, because I have to continue to remind people that it was anime that has brought us the truism of if one is born a male, at least once in his life, he will dream of becoming the strongest in the world. That is very much a truism that was brought forth by the Baki series. And Baki is, while extremely low IQ, it is an excellent example of that high grade, high octane motivation porn that, could set someone on a very positive trajectory of self improvement. Kengan Ashura, being presented here as a backdrop to my muttering, is another positive example of that. It is competent men competing in the area in which they excel. It's very interesting. Naturally, you need to suspend disbelief to take it seriously, but then again, you need to do that to engage with mostly any form of media anyway, so that is a moot point. The ultimate conclusion that I would like to highlight here is that if if we are to salvage culture, and anime is very much an important and big part of modern culture, we shouldn't cast away entire hobbies because we don't have the time or expertise to delve into the nuance of it. And anime presents a very good foundation for us to engage in some healthy gatekeeping. So, this has been my TED Talk, and make sure to gatekeep like a motherfucker, because they will gatekeep us at every turn given the opportunity.